Well, thank you all for having me tonight. I was very excited when Andy asked me to talk. It was quite a drive down here, but well worth it, based on the crowd and the level of enthusiasm in here. I am a retired police officer. I was injured on the job, and so at 32 years old, I was home with 3 little kids. My husband's a firefighter, so he was working a lot, but it also gave me a lot of extra time to coach my kids' sports, to be home with them, and to kind of get involved in their schooling. Probably, I would say about 5 years ago, I started to notice a little bit of shift in the schools. And you kind of say, what the heck is going on here? Things like the kids coming home and saying, this teacher's a communist. And you're kind of in the back, what? What do you mean they're a communist? And then they say what they actually said, and you go, you are right, they are a communist. So it wasn't until probably the election in 2016, as my kids got older, I have a 19-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old. So I was able to get a little bit more involved in politics, do a lot of watching. I ran some social media campaigns for some like anti-recall for city council, ran a school board campaign for a family member. And I just kind of started getting heavily involved and kind of keeping watch, and was just around politics. My goal was never to be on a school board, I will tell you that much. It was city council, maybe 2024, when my last kid, was going to be junior or senior in high school. But as I was sitting out at my Gavin Newsom recall table, I started to get... I started to realize I was getting quite a group of stalkers, and meaning that they were searching for a school board candidate, somebody who was going to be conservative and who would stand up for people's rights. So basically, the long story short is when I was starting my Gavin Newsom recall, I was named the Yorba Linda chair. So I would go onto the local social media and I'd say, hey, we're going to be here this day. And then boom, I was blocked. And I'm like, what? I'm just setting up a table. Like, I'm going to be in front of this grocery store. I'm going to be at this corner. Just come. If I'm going to take time away from my family, I want to do it well. I want to get as many signatures. But of course, that was, I couldn't be doing that. So I got blocked from another one. And these were 30-day violations. They were blocking me for 30 days. And then so I go into people's comments sometimes. I try to put where my table is going to be. So then I got blocked for 60 days. So I said, you know what? Anybody can make a social media page. Why not? So I started a group called Yorba Linda Uncensored, and it just kind of grew and grew and grew from there. And so what started off as the Gavin Newsom recall hub ended up being a lot of people in Yorba Linda, Placentia, and the surrounding areas that were kind of jumping on and, just voicing their opinion. So then from there, we were I kind of started thinking, after George Floyd, me being a retired police officer and all of the police officers getting heavily attacked, I said, you know what? We could do a Back the Blue rally, and we can have a Newsom recall table, and we can just kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So this is what attracted my stalkers. So, and I'll go into that, because I still call people my stalker. So I'm out there, we're waving our flags, Back the Blue. We're signing up people for the recall, and then somebody approaches me, a tall blonde woman. She said, hey, have you ever thought about running for school board? And I said, no. And she says, well, I think you should think about it. So then came in heavy artillery, because then this woman came and got me for 2 hours and was just spewing facts at me, things I couldn't ignore. That, ethnic studies is actually critical race theory. That, the sexual curriculum that comes in is just very, very toxic to the kids, and they're starting it at such a young age. And so they're just hitting me with all this stuff. And, in the back of my mind, I knew it. I've been a room mom. I've been out there. I've heard it from my kids, but do you believe it? So sitting out at a car show on Wednesday nights. They're kind of fun. I have it's about 100 degrees outside. I got my Trump 2020 shirt on. And I'm signing up my recall. And then here comes that tall blonde woman. And she says, so have you thought about my question? And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I decided right then and there I was going to do it. So I feel like this. I feel like if God calls you into something, like he calls you and you should just heed the call. Like after that, I never looked back. It was never really been a thought. It was kind of just running a school board campaign. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. But you know what? This was a lot of work into probably one of the hardest things, and what ended up being such a volatile place. But to stand up for kids is the best thing that you can ever do, especially when they're your kids, but then especially when you get a community behind you who just was waiting for the voice. All they were doing is waiting for somebody to step up and to say it. So my campaign, I was asked to talk a little bit about what I campaigned. We started off, I got a campaign manager, but since I'd done a little bit of politics in the past, I kind of knew what I was doing. And I knew that I would have to get the message out. I mean, obviously I watched 45 an awful lot and his mean tweets. So I said, you know what? I'm going to have to do some mean tweeting of my own to get the message out. So I started talking every single day. I said, this is what the California Teachers Association and their chapters are doing, and this is what I'm going to do. And I would just post it. These are the union-endorsed candidates, and this is what I am. I'm not taking interviews with the union because I don't work for the union. I'm not getting paid to come out here and campaign. I work for you. I work for the parents. I work for the students. I work for the teachers. I do not work for Sacramento, and I do not work for the teachers union. And that was a huge, huge message. And every day I would go out and I'd knock doors and I would talk to people and I would tell them what they're bringing in. People didn't know that they were trying to bring in Black Lives Matter curriculum. People didn't know that they were trying to bring in critical race theory under the guise of ethnic studies. They had no clue about any of this. And so I would talk literally from Labor Day on up until Election Day. Literally was an everyday thing, hours on end, more hours on the weekend. Meet and greets. It was insanity. I even would have to bring, the dog out sometimes, just to get it for a walk. Brought my husband out a few times. And towards the end, when you were just frantic going, did I do enough work to win this thing? I'd send the kids out on skateboards. Just drop them. I thought about a helicopter. I said, maybe I should just get a helicopter and just drop flyers everywhere. But I think it appealed, and I think if anybody is planning on running for school board, community is such a huge thing, and you need to reach out to your community. So I won the election, and our 5-0 liberal school board flipped to 3-2 conservative. Which was amazing in itself because my question this whole time was, oh my gosh, if I, only one of us win, I'm going to be sitting on there 4-1 and I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to be throwing stuff. I mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to lose my mind. So I am kind of losing my mind sometimes because one of us wasn't as conservative as we said we were, but November's coming. November is coming. So basically we get in and you realize that this is more of a cesspool than you would ever have thought possible. So right now, as Andy mentioned, we do have a ban on CRT coming. And so we have our finalized meeting to finalize all the, the wording, the paperwork, and then our vote is in April. We have introduced live stream because one of the things I ran on was transparency. People at home do not know what's going on in these school board meetings. We're getting 200-300 parents at every single school board meeting now because they're so upset about what's going on. And I'll tell you that this live stream has been an amazing, amazing tool so everybody can watch. People did not want this live stream. And I said, oh yeah, let's do it. And so people at home are watching and they're going, what in the heck is going on? I'm getting these emails. I had no clue this was happening in our schools. So if anybody here is on a school board, if anybody here is thinking about running for a school board, one of the main things you need to do is have a live stream for all of your school board meetings so people can tune in because there's people who work at home. There's people that's late at night. They have little kids, but they want to be involved. And you know what too? And don't be afraid if you are on the school board. I have been polling votes because I'm making people accountable for their votes. There was so much hiding because school board is nonpartisan. It is not nonpartisan. Don't let anybody tell you any different. This is the most partisan place I've ever been involved in. This is like Sacramento, like on steroids. It's crazy. So I would say bring it all out. We have parent groups. Like, I think we have several parent groups, but one of our parent groups is like 200 strong. There's another parent group that's probably 150 strong. And then there's another one that's kind of like combined all together, just in Placentia and Yorba Linda. And you know what? I give my phone number to every single one of them. I give my email. I give access to every single one. Like every day I'm coffee, lunch, drinks. Hey, I like alcohol. We meet at night when the kids are all in bed. You know, you get a lot accomplished over some wine. But you know what? You got to listen. I meet with teachers. I meet with students. I meet with parents. I meet with everybody and I listen. And that's what I think has been lacking on our school boards is that nobody's been listening to the parents. They've only been for the unions. And that's where it all has to change because the union, the California Teachers Association, I encourage everybody in this room to get on this website and to look at their anti-police rhetoric, at their communist propaganda that they push in. I had somebody look at it the other night and he told me, I could not call you for 2 days because I was so upset at what they're pushing in. This is communism. This is critical race theory. This is Black Lives Matter. So he said he had to wait 2 days, but thank the Lord that he was able to print up copies of stuff from the CTA website and he administered it to all the soccer team. And so he told parents, this is what's coming in. This is what's coming into these schools. You need to be aware. So my goal right now is to take back our school district, but my goal is also to help empower everybody to take back their school district. Every school district in California can be taken back if the parents take a stand. There are teachers who are afraid, but they are now standing up. I get calls from teachers all the time who tell me things that are going on. I get calls from students. I'm sitting at my kids' baseball game or their swim meet, and I get people who come up, are you such and such's mom? Yes. This is what happened in my class. And it's like, okay, take down the name, and you handle it. But as we become more bold and we take a stand, people will stand behind you. Like my motto on the back of my Jeep, it says lions, not sheep. I'm not kidding. Like I've been watching this text thread that we have with a group of parents. That's what's been coming through this whole night. People are lions, not sheep. We're raising lions. We're not raising sheep. And so I feel like that has just become the motto in our district. And I feel like we can do this. We can do this in California. It takes a lot of work. You'll need to knock doors. You need to get organized. And if anybody has any questions, I can help everybody get organized. Look at your maps. Look at you can look at your city map and you look at your districts and who's running in what district. I'm sure you have 10 friends in these districts and you call them up and say, hey, you're going to do a meet and greet for this candidate because we're going to take this school back. And then you know what? You go to those places and you speak in an intimate setting. It can have 20, 30 people and you talk and you tell them what's going on in the schools and how you're going to change it. And you bring your yard signs and you bring your flyers, bring a lot of flyers because then they'll start passing them out. And they'll put their yard sign in their yard. And then their neighbor will come home and say, oh, you align with my values. Why are you voting for this person? And then they say, well, I met this person and they told me this. And so then that next yard sign goes in that yard. And that's kind of how my opponents knew I was gaining so much popularity. They didn't know I was walking. I was trying to hide it. I'd see their car go by and hide behind a tree. But we were walking so consistently and they were lining the boulevards with their signs. Their signs were everywhere. And I would put, a few signs on the corners and stuff. But I hit the yards. I hit those doors and I hit the yards. And I said, we're going to make a change and you guys are going to help me do it. And so after I was elected too, I still, to this day, I'm with them and they're with me. I didn't go into the district and start, oh, you think this? Well, no. This is where we change. This is where we disentangle from the union and we change and we start acting like we work for the parents and the students. And so I get a little fired up and I really talk a lot, ask my husband, so you'll have to tell me when my time's running out. But so right now we have the ban on CRT, we have our live stream, but also too, look inside your schools at the curriculum that's being pushed. So we'll have training for teachers and I looked at the training. Not one training over the summertime or during the school year has anything to do, nothing to do with the curriculum that's being taught to kids. It's social justice, it's this, it's that, it's nonsense. It's nothing that's going to better the kids. So take a look at that stuff and be aware. And write your school board. Call your school board members. Do whatever you can, because you know what? That's a certain way you take it back. When you start giving the teachers curriculum and telling them what to teach again, and you take all of this nonsense out, that's where like change occurs. And these teachers don't want it. They don't want, well, some of them do, but some teachers want to teach their kids, and they want the latest and the newest techniques, and they want the latest and newest curriculum, hopefully, just traditional curriculum, and they want to be able to teach. So that's the things that you need to start watching. Watch and see how much money is going into social justice areas and to other things, like what's not going into the students. Reroute the money into the students, and that's what my goal has been on the school board. Like we have one school, one of our high schools is amazing in football. In fact, they've wanted lights for 25 years, and they just said, no, we're not giving you lights for your football field. So I think he knew I was the daughter of a football coach, a wrestling coach, and an athlete myself. So I think he kind of caught on to that. So I get a call, hey, we've been trying to get lights for a long time. Well, why don't you have lights? Let's do it. And then when he beat up on my son's football team, I called him. I said, you don't need no stinking lights. But things like that, like we have to give back to the kids. And I feel like our school districts we're so into the social justice and all this nonsense that's coming in from Sacramento. We have left these kids behind. So tonight, I hope if you think about running, like it's a fight. It's a fight, and you know what? And they're going to call you every name in the book. And you're going to hate mail, and it's great. And just say, I love it, because if they're hating on you, you are over that target. And I will say, don't talk yet. I will say, there is no better line to hold than to hold the line for the children. That is why we are all here, and I'm not kidding. There is no better satisfaction than to stand up for children, because us as parents, that is what God put us on this earth to do, and we should all be utilizing our tools. If it's not running for school board, you go campaign for school board. You do research for every agenda item that comes out, and you find the grossness that's in that curriculum, and you report it to your school board. There's so much that we can all do to help in these schools. And I just encourage everyone here to do it.
Stay here.
Is there questions? Or am I out of time? I'm so out of time.
You're a little bit out of time, but they could ask you questions when you're wandering around the room.
Okay.
But a couple things I just want to respond to what you said about live streaming. I was doing the live streaming in the Placentia Yorba Linda School District before they did live streaming inside the room.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, it was so satisfying, because I would see parents in the community say, hey, you're the guy that does the live streaming. Yeah. I had teachers approach me and say, you're the guy that does the live streaming. And they were so appreciative, because they go, we had no idea.
Yeah.
We had no idea. I can't get there because of work. I can't get there because of soccer.
Yeah.
And so when your school district refuses to do the live streaming, you do the live streaming and you broadcast it out to your community. So that's been great. And
do whatever you can to just make their blood boil. Just do it. If they're upset with you, you're doing it the right way.
And it is way worse. It is way worse than I thought it was. I used to say, you know what, Placentia Yorba Linda School District is actually pretty good. And I go, oh, no, it's not. I thought it was.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yep, this is yours. All right. So we have a new award with the California Parent Alliance. And I'm going to kind of get this box open so we can do this right away. As I came in as president, I wanted to make sure and acknowledge those people in the community that are going above and beyond. And so this is going to be an ongoing award that if you know of anybody, that is deserving of an award, who's going above and beyond, putting their life on the line almost. It seemed like at times that you were being threatened.
Yes.
She was also, can I say that you were in Washington, D.C. on January?
I'm an insurrectionist.
She was in January 6th. She was not in the Capitol building. She was in the hotel.
I was.
But that got brought out as if she had handcuffed Nancy Pelosi, is pretty much what they were saying on Instagram.
I will say that when we didn't know anybody was in the Capitol, because we were outside, we saw the Trump rally. So when my husband texted me and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Well, yeah, why?" And he says, "Well, someone's been shot. People are inside the Capitol." I go, "There's nobody inside the Capitol. What are you talking about?" He goes, there's somebody taking selfies on Pelosi's desk, and I figured it would be you. No, I'm way outside, way far away. We're actually like buying some merchandise. Don't worry about me.
So I've seen Leandra from the very beginning. I interviewed her on my live show that I do early on at a Trump rally.
Yes.
And that's when we first met. I knew that she was the person that could go in there and fight. And you can tell we have the same police officer sense of humor.
Yeah.
So don't take everything she says so serious.
Yeah.
Some people go, I can't believe she said that. You won't believe what she said on my first interview. It was actually pretty good, but we're not going to repeat it. All right. But in this case, the Golden Bear Award is what we're calling this. This is the Golden Bear Award. It is an award that is presented to community members who go above and beyond to protect our children in the California educational system. As you know, there are several harmful issues that have come to light over the last couple of years. These issues are related to mandates, socialist indoctrination, morality issues, and the reduction of education standards, just to name a few. The Golden Bear Award is presented to Leandra tonight for her dedication to the parents and children in the Placentia Yorba Linda School District and the state of California. Your dedication to protecting our children from the evils of indoctrination and the misrepresentation of what is right and wrong has not wavered despite being attacked by those who want to do our children harm. They have created social media pages in an effort to attack you. They have, of course, called you racist and homophobic and threatened your well-being. All very true. I've all been witness to all of it. And yet, in spite of all their efforts, you continue to show up at every school board meeting and rally to support your constituents. The parents of the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. As president of the California Parent Alliance, it is my honor to present Leandra Blades with the Golden Bear Award.
Thank you. Thank you.
It looks much heavier.
Very heavy.
And I want you to know my wife, Hedia, created this too. I do literally nothing. But Leandra, thank you so much for everything you're doing. It's made a world of difference having you on our school board. And Sean, your partner. Mm-hmm. And like you said, we have a rhino, which she's actually more than a rhino. She actually convinced us that she was going to do the right thing, but we'll get her out of there. But Leandra, you've been amazing. You've stood up for all of us. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So sorry about the Q&A, but you can. Oh, we got it closed. All right. Thank you, Steve. Do you want to?
Yeah, we'll do some Q&A.
Sure, of course. Okay. I love to talk, especially about this stuff.
I just want to know, what do you mean by live stream? How do you do that?
Okay, so what we were doing before is we would have parents that would come in and they would go Facebook Live, and it was very, very easy. But what we did was we hired a company, and so they attached the equipment in our boardroom. And so every single time that we have a board meeting, it goes on and it tracks the speakers, it tracks the board, and it films the whole thing. And you go to the website of our school district, you just click on it and it'll say go to live stream, so you can view any meeting that we have in our boardroom.
Is there another way, if we're not hiring someone, like Facebook has destroyed my account twice.
Right.
So I don't have Facebook.
Right.
Someone like me is not hiring. Is there some other creative way to do
You know,
on Telegram or something?
I'm going to recommend that you talk with Jay.
We'd be happy to help you do it, or show you. We'll get together over the phone, show you how to do it. We'll teach you.
Yeah, I'm told it's very easy, and a lot of people do it. Like when Andy couldn't show up, there'd be a couple other parents, and a few would go in there, different angles, and like they get the crowd, the anger, and everything that was going on. And so then they would just kind of, somebody's battery was dying, somebody else would pick it up, and yeah, so there's a few of them going on, and so it was a good deal.
Okay, one more.
You mentioned, and I appreciate that you're encouraging for somebody to run for school board, because I've been interested in doing it myself. Mm-hmm. I actually came all the way from Menifee Marietta area,
yes.
And I'm with the Paris Eden High School District, and I recently got word that the superintendent is all for the vaccine mandates, the mask mandates, and I've been dealing with that with my daughter. And would you be willing, or how could I go about getting coached? Because I'm very interested in getting on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Just come find me after. We'll exchange numbers. And I'm willing to meet people. We can meet in a group and we can kind of go over all the strategies. But yeah.
USD in the house.
Heck yeah.
Thank you.
So
All right. Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you.